Hi guys, I'm back for another Scraplift Saturday. This is Kelly Froggie251, and that was the inspiration piece, and this is the layout that I am scraplifting. I thought it was really cute. It was a layout that I found on the Jelly Bean Soup blog, and I will put in the description below where I actually got that. I'll put a link to that. So now what I'm doing is I cut all these triangles out with my silhouette, and I'm just gluing them onto this white background, and I spared you watching me do that, and then I took it to my sewing machine and I stitched all the way around all the triangles with a gold metallic thread. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to add some white gesso to the background, and this is like a craft crumb cake is what the name of it's called, from Stampin' Up! Background. And I know this wasn't in the inspiration piece or the scrap lift, but I wanted to have some mixed media on the background. I thought it would look kind of cool to have this mixed media, just kind of have more of a lighter effect in the background. So that's why I decided to go with this technique instead of leaving it plain. And I'm just taking a paper towel, putting a little bit of gesso on that paper towel, and then just dabbing it around to give it kind of a cloud-like appearance. And it actually has a pretty cool texture. The paper towels that I was using have a texture, and some of that texture kind of transferred to the layout or the background. So I really liked how that ended up looking. Once it's all dry, I am going to look through my inks, and I'm picking this Heidi Swap Color Shine in Tea, I believe is the color. Yes, tea. It's a new color that I got and I love it. It is so pretty. It's just kind of a coppery kind of brown color with a lot of shimmer. So I thought it'd be perfect for this background. I just really like the colors in it, and I was trying to go for the bohemian kind of richness of the inspiration piece. So what I took from the inspiration piece is just mostly the colors. I just really like that bohemian, rich, bright colors. So that's what I'm using. And I'm using the Mariposa paper pad from Michaels. And that pad I've had for a very long time. So I thought it was great that I was able to use that for my stash. It has a lot of very vintagey looking patterns and stuff. So what I ended up doing was picking out the patterns that were more neutral and didn't look too old-fashioned, because I am doing two pictures of my daughter and her friend. And so I basically put these triangles down, and it took me a while to figure out the placement, so I kind of spared you watching me put them in different places and moving them and tucking them and turning them. And so this is kind of how it ends up turning out in the end. And I decided to go with black and white photos. There's a lot of color in these photos, and because I was using the rich colors from the inspiration piece, I wanted to keep the photos very simple and not compete with the colors in the background. So I am just taking some of this kind of shimmery tissue paper, and that's about all I have left, and I really like it. I need to find some more. I'm adding some of the shimmery tissue paper to the background, and I have mounted the picture on some white cardstock just to give that white border and have some separation between the tissue paper and the photo. So I'm just gluing that down. I cut it on three sides and then ripped the bottom piece of the tissue paper, and I'm cutting it pretty close. Next, I'm going to be adding in some of that coppery gold tissue paper you see there kind of to the left. That tissue paper came in a shoe box with some new boots that I bought, and I was so excited that I was going to be able to use this tissue paper for scrapbooking. It also came in this really pretty lace printed tissue paper that I'm pretty excited about too, so I'll be using that sometime. So now I am doing kind of the same thing. I have three clean sides of the tissue paper, and then I have one ripped side. And for this copper, I just wanted a touch of it. I didn't want as much as I had for the white shimmery tissue paper, so I'm just adding a little bit to the top of the one photo and the bottom of the other. And now I'm going to fiddle with this until I get it situated kind of where I want it on the layout. And you're going to see me kind of moving it around and picking it up a little bit later on so I can just get it just right. So I'm going to kind of tuck them into each other. So I had to kind of peel that up a little bit. And I don't have all of my triangles fitting exactly in the center like the inspiration piece, so they're a little bit more off skew, but because the pictures kind of cover up the triangles a little bit, or the center of them, it doesn't look as awkward, I think, as if I didn't have those photos there. So I ended up liking how that turned out. So now I have my stash of wood veneers out that I am looking through and figuring out what I'm going to use. And the inspiration or the scrap lift that I'm doing also had some of these wood veneers. or just wood veneers in general on the layout. So I'm kind of taking that from the layout as well. And I'm just putting them in 3 different places. I have the one in the top right that has 3 stars and the heart with the word us. The bottom left is 3 stars and what is that, a heart? And then the bottom right has 3 stars and an arrow. So I try to keep it kind of consistent, and I did want to have 3 points on this layout. And I'm really keeping this layout relatively simple because of the triangle design and the stitching. I didn't really want a whole lot else going on in this layout, and that's very similar to what the Scraplift layout looks like as well. So now I'm just taking this frame and I put it in the bottom right hand corner, and then I wanted to try to tuck it in to the left somewhere. It just wasn't working. So you're going to see me messing with this forever, and then I'm going to be like, nah, it's just not going to work. I'm just not even going to put it on. Most of the time I like to have these kind of things in 2 different places, but you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out, and you got to go with what you think looks best. And I decided, you know what, I don't really need that other frame in this part. So I'll surely will add it to something else because it is a really pretty kind of coppery color. But it won't gonna be, it's not gonna, it won't gonna be, it's not gonna be ended up on this layout. So now from the inspiration piece, it had some labels, and I think they're in a little bit different spot than where I'm putting mine, but I wanted to add a little bit of that to the layout as well. And I'm trying to put a label in that top right cluster, but it was just too much white and I didn't like it. So I'm gonna end up only keeping the labels that are in this bottom left, and it brings some more of the purple in the layout. To me, that inspiration piece had a lot of purple in it, or that's the color that stood out the most. So I did want to add a little bit more purple to the layout by adding that label. So now I'm trying to see if I can add a little more pink to this bottom right, but I'm going to ultimately decide I just kind of like it the way it is. So now I am just looking through things, trying to figure out what else I want to do. Of course, I always like to have a lot of stuff on my layout, so I'm trying to figure out what else I can put on, but I'm going to decide that, you know, this is pretty much how I want to leave it. So I'm just going to start gluing everything down, some of it with my ATG gun and the rest with my liquid adhesive in that fine line bottle. And I use the Scotch Quick Dry adhesive, and I find that works really well for this kind of thing. So really, I'm not going to do a whole lot more with this layout. Sorry I didn't cut this out, so you're going to watch me glue all these pieces down. But what's going to happen next is I'm going to take those labels and glue them together and then put that heart on top. And then I'm ultimately going to add a stamped image to the circular section, and then I'm going to write my daughter and her friend's name on the more rectangular part of the label. So that's what I'm going to be working on now. And I'm just taking one of my scrapbook pens in a black color, and this is just a Sharpie pen, and I'm writing the 2 names and then just making it just a little bit more fancy by adding the downstrokes a little bit thicker color, just to give it a little more interest than just the plain journaling on the layout. So as I do that, then I will pull out the stamp in just a few seconds. And oh, I was thinking, oh, it's actually not a Sharpie pen. It is, what is it? A Pitt pen, an artist Pitt pen that I'm using, and it's archival. So I was going to put something in that circle with like handwriting, but I didn't really like that as much. So I'm taking the Staffodil Delight Stamping Up ink, and I'm going to ink up this Allie Edwards stamp. And off the top of my head, I can't quite remember what it says, but I'm going to show you a close-up so you'll see that. And I'm just stamping it and inking it up a couple times to make sure I like what it looks like. Life in photos, that's what it says. So I just showed you a little bit too quickly there that I stamped it a couple times to get the best, clearest image. And then I'm just going to punch this out, and it's going to have a little bit extra white border, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to kind of tuck it up underneath that heart. And I didn't want it to be absolutely center in that little circle die cut, so I kind of put it to the top right or so of that circle just to give it a little bit more dimension, I guess. I didn't want it to be too uniform. I guess it's more just the top center. And that is that. And really the last thing I'm going to do here is put my title on. So you're going to see me, oh no, I lied, I'm sorry. I am going to use the thread that I stitched around the triangles, and I'm going to ball it up into a little messy nest-ish kind of thing, and then stick it under the top left of the first photo, or the top photo, and the bottom right of the bottom photo. And I have seen Missy Whidden do this a lot, and I really, really like it. I kind of forget to do it unless I have some other stitching on the page. And this gold thread just adds the perfect texture because I didn't want to do a whole lot with the layout because it does have a lot of going on with the triangles. I think this is perfect to add that extra texture in the color without adding a lot of extra embellishments. So I was pretty happy and satisfied with how the string ended up turning out. So now I'm going to go through all my little tiny letter stickers, and I have more than just this, but these are the ones that fit in this container. So I'm going to end up pulling out a copperish gold color sheet and then a yellow, I think, or no, like a kind of a, yeah, yellow. But I'm going to ultimately go with that copper. On the back of that Dear Lizzie font, there is a white label with a copper letter, and then that other side is a copper label with a white letter. So I'm going to use the white squares with the copper letter. And then these stickers here, they're also, I believe, from Dear Lizzie. And this is just going to say the Barkus Parade because I am not creative at all with titles. So I'm kind of have titles that are like, well, obviously that's the title because I'm not very creative. So I think it works out fine. I probably could have put something about friendship or the two girls, something about girls or something like that, but I don't know. I just decided to go with the Barkus Parade and make it simple. So I just stamped on my date stamp and it has a little bit of a word there too. I can't quite remember what it says. And I knew it was going to stamp on really well because of the different layers of the the paper. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with how it looked. I kind of wanted that messy look. Again, because I don't have a whole lot going on with the layout, I wanted to have a little more texture. So now I put all my stuff onto some wax paper just so I can move it around because I wasn't quite sure where I wanted the title. So here is the fast forwarded version. It is all down now. And then that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. If you're interested in playing along with us on the Crafty Maven Getaway, you can head over to our Facebook channel and check out the fun that's over there. And also I would love to see you guys do a layout like this. And if you would like to check out my videos, I have a link below, and it's Froggie251 is my YouTube channel. And like I said, thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great Saturday, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.